Terrible sound. Been out here. I've been out last night. Anyway, I hope you well. Welcome to my compound life. I am Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, and of course, we build freedom. That will be financial freedom, time freedom for you, me, and anyone else that watches my video. Before we get started, quick disclaimer. This is not financial or investment advice. I'm not a licensed advisor. Everything here is for educational and entertainment purpose only. So good to see you all at the time of recording. It's around 8:30 a.m. in the morning in the United Kingdom, West Midlands. This will be another Bitcoin daily video. So let's get started. It's going to be a short one because Sunday I'm just very busy. Got a lot of lunch, dinner arrangement, church, a lot of things. Anyway, let's take a quick look. Bitcoin price action right now, $70,000. So I don't think there will be too much movement this weekend. You know, look at all the price movement in the past. I think this weekend will simply just retrace. Let's hope it to be a very quiet weekend. Enough of the ups and downs. I think all of you have had enough, I guess. So right now Bitcoin is trading around 70,000. Well, between 68 to 70,000. In the past 24 hours, it went down a small 2%, starting from around 70,500, hitting a high of 70,000, maybe 200, and low around 68,900. We are, by the way, 45% away from the previous all-time high of around $126,000. And indeed, I strongly believe we are in a bear market, unlike a lot of other influencers out there that are still calling out the potential of things flipping very soon. Even if we do flip, I think we're only going upwards to close the CME gap, and then very likely will come tumbling back down very soon, because historically this has been, historically for the Bitcoin cycle, this year is meant to be the bear year where Bitcoin will eventually find its bottom sometime in October, November, December this year. Okay, so throughout all of the Bitcoin cycle, Bitcoin usually find its bottom 12 to 15 months after the top, right? So essentially, the top was sometime in the 6 to 8 of October last year. And now we kind of on the 2nd of February. So we're kind of already 4 months in of our 12 to 15 months of Bitcoin bear market. So hopefully things will change. Things will flip. So stay strong, guys. Looking at charts, I think this 71,500, it's kind of like the resistance. We're not even getting past it, so we'll see how it all goes. But apart from that, I think as a reminder for all of us, that at any point of time, we just have to keep on monitoring and see what's going on. But it certainly does seem that if we do fail to, get back upwards, which I think will be a very likely case, the next one, we'll be getting to the 60K support, because that was a pretty huge support a couple of days ago during the massive Bitcoin did. I actually explained to you guys why in yesterday's video. Can potentially all come down to some hedge fund in Asia, and that's selling off big time through IBIT. And of course, another quite funny one, it was due to a South Korean crypto exchange. They're meant to be sending some airdrops in Korean won, the currency, like 2,000 Korean won per user, right? As opposed to sending 2,000 Korean won to the user, someone made a huge mistake and they sent out Bitcoin, 2,000 Bitcoin, as airdrop. So as a result, whomever received that Bitcoin, they sold it in the market immediately. That resulted in the massive dump for Bitcoin, right? So it seems everything are recovering now. I think even for that, good enough for that South Korean crypto exchange, some of the users actually send the fund back, because I think 20 minutes after they noticed the mistake, immediately within 37 minutes, they actually stop all the transaction, all the money going in and out, right? So people can't even send that 2,000 Bitcoin into their private, into their hardware wallet and keep that away, right? Imagine that. But anyway, that was like a once in a lifetime windfall for some individual. Wild. But so this is why I kind of think this kind of massive drop, that 60K dropped, right? I mean, that dropped to 60K. I mean, if you guys somehow manage to bought some Bitcoin, well done, guys. I mean, just drop in the comments and let me know who you legends are, where you guys watching from. In the comment section, it's always great to hear back from viewers. So not a lot of news to chat about, not a lot of price action, but I think one of the things, as a reminder, that we all need to know is 60K seems to be a very, very key support line. And 60K is actually not very far at all onto the 200 weeks moving average, which I think is still going up. So 200 weeks moving average will be about 58,000. Yeah, about $58,000. So I reckon if we do get back to about 60K, 58K, that will continue to be a very, very, very good support, good bounce. And I think many, many will continue to DZA at that zone. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's it for today. That's like 8 minutes for me to check in on the price. But that's one thing that I want to talk about, because the fact that we haven't received a parabolic banana zone, crazy blow off top this time round, kept me thinking and kept me researching, like, what the hell's going on with Bitcoin. So I think in today's episode, what I want to talk about is a little bit more on, let me just bring up my face a little bit. Bring up my face a little bit. So I just want to talk a little bit more about the silent killer for this cycle, right? That's capping us from increasing in terms of Bitcoin price. Okay, so how many of what I call them the fake Bitcoin bets crash the real price, from $126,000 for Bitcoin to about $60,000. So this morning, I want to dive into something that's got everyone's scratching their heads. No Bitcoin parabolic move up, Bitcoin brutal slide in just 4 months, less than 4 months. Bitcoin plummet well over 53% from sky high 126,000 all the way down to 60,000, right? And get this wasn't some massive scandal, hack, or bad news. A bit like, last cycle, it was all down to FTX, government bans, and so forth. This time, it's none of this. It's kind of weird, right? And to have this sort of capitulation, it's kind of weird. It's not really being covered in the mainstream media. And if you aren't even like researching on YouTube or X or watching, my video, very likely you just be like, you know what, Michael Burry said, Bitcoin's not good. It's having a knock-on effect on any other assets. You would naturally just assume that, it's all Bitcoin's fault. But what exactly is behind that? It's what I want to tell and talk about this morning. Sure, big picture stuff like rising interest rates or shaky global economies added some wind to the storm, but that's not the full story. Okay, so the real villain here this time around that really brought us down, that kind of cut short the Bitcoin parabolic move, that even cut short, the bear market in some shape or form, right? Because if we look through weekly, let's do a weekly. If we kind of look through the weekly, right? Previously, the last cycle, it took us from all-time high, it took us about 31 weeks to get to 200 weeks moving average. And then the cycle from before the last cycle took us approximately 52 weeks from all-time high getting into the 200 weeks moving average. And this time around, no parabolic upwards, but come on, I mean, if we still need to give Bitcoin the credit, right? I know many of your altcoin bags are under. Definitely no parabolic move up, no move up at all if you have invested in altcoins, cryptos, any other shitcoins, meme coins, right? However, Bitcoin still did pretty well, right? Come and look at this, right? Bottom at around 15, 16,000, move up to about, can't see this, up to about 126,000 here, right? That's pretty awesome movement, right? So yeah, I think this time around it's a weird one because there's no blow off top, but 126k, I reckon that's a pretty decent top, okay? And of course, within a matter of 17 weeks, it dropped tremendously, right? So I would expect it will continue to go this way and then maybe get to Q3 before we even hit the 200 weeks moving average. But somehow this was that massive drop in a very short period of time, approximately 17 weeks, guys. So yeah, it's rather weird. So big picture stuff like rising interest rate, the shaky global economy just doesn't add up to highlight these massive drops, right? So the real villain, it's hiding in plain sight, and most folk aren't whispering about it, not being covered in mainstream media, of course. And Bitcoin price used to be simple, as a reminder, guys, right? Back in the days, back into this cycle, we just buy Bitcoin and hodl and wait for it to pump, and then we sell some from our swing back, right? So Bitcoin price used to be simple, a fixed supply of 21 million coins bought and sold like actual gold bars in the early days. So in those wild 2017 and 2021 bull run, that's how it worked. Real people trading real Bitcoin on the main chain, pushing prices up or down based on pure supply and demand. But fast forward for this specific cycle, guys, right? Fast forward to this specific cycle, it does seem everything flipped. A huge chunk of Bitcoin trading, we're talking billions in daily volume, isn't happening with actual coins anymore. Isn't happening with actual Bitcoin anymore. It's all shifted to these, what we know them as synthetic markets. So think of them as bets on Bitcoin's price without ever touching the real thing. So no coins change hands on the blockchain. It's all paper promises and digital IOUs. So this twist has totally affected how prices get set, turning what should be a straightforward market into a leverage fuel casino, right? So let me break it down, the big players in this synthetic game. It's crystal clear, especially if you're new to this, right? I think these are things that you guys need to be aware of so that at least you know why Bitcoin price can be volatile, why we dipped, and is this a good dip that many of you actually benefited from buying the dip? Like, obviously I bought some. Now thinking back, I should have actually gone in a lot more. But anyway, having said that, I reckon every time when we dip to the 200 weeks moving average, we may dip further. So from this 200 weeks moving average point to this point, it continued to dip 28%, almost 30%, right? So that's always that possibility, okay? So this is why, we constantly just DCA and not go lump sum in all the time. Anyway, not financial advice, do your own research. So let me break this down now, okay? So future contracts, right? So these are like IOUs for Bitcoin at a future date and price. Traders, of course, they bet on where it will go, but no real Bitcoin moves until settlement, right? If ever. And of course, we have perpetual swaps. So these are the endless futures, no expiry. You can bet big with borrowed money, riding the price wave forever until it wipes you out on leverage long or leverage short. So that's something to be mindful of. And certainly in my compound life, I don't really talk about leverage because I know many of you, it's not day trading, active trading. It's not something of your thing. It's not my thing too, right? So I'm more into longer term, buy and hold, wait for the dip, buy more, and see how that goes, right? You can perfectly make money without getting into perpetual swaps, guys. And of course, option markets, calls and puts, basically insurance bets. Buy put if you think price drops. It's cheap exposure without owning a single Satoshi, without owning any Bitcoin. And of course, I think this recent 12 months, a lot of huge push were actually coming from ETFs. So those easy stock-like funds holding Bitcoin for you. It's great for newbies. If it's your first exposure to Bitcoin, people falls back into ETF because it's safe, it's easy to understand. But when big funds sell share, it triggers real sell, amplifying moves without everyday holders knowing. Okay, and there are prime broker lending, Wall Street styles loans where institutions borrow Bitcoin to short sell, flooding the market with more fake supplies, of course. And of course, you've got things like wrap Bitcoin. What the fuck is wrap Bitcoin, right? It's like wrap Bitcoin on Ethereum, a tokenized version of it. So it's handy for, for people that are more into active management of their Bitcoin, handy for people, degens into decentralized finance. We call them DeFi, by the way. But it creates shadow version that trade separately, diluting the core market. And of course, there are structured products like fancy bank bundles, like notes or certificates tied to Bitcoin price. Hedge fund absolutely loves them, by the way, for hidden bets. So why do this matter so much, you may ask me? Why am I letting you guys know about all of this? Back in the day, a Bitcoin dump, meant real holders panicking and selling their Bitcoin. Supply floods the market, price tank naturally, right? But now selling pressure sneaks in through these side doors. Institutions can slam the price down with massive shorts bets in futures without single real Bitcoin leaving a wallet. It's like shorting a house without burning it down. The value still crashes on paper, scaring everyone else. So take this recent nightmare. Picture leverage traders, folks borrowing 20x, 50x, even 100x their money to go long on Bitcoin, betting that, 126,000 isn't the blow off top. It can, it's going up even more, right? So the betting Bitcoin will be going to the moon, going to Valhalla. But of course, price dips a little, boom, automatic liquidation kick in, right? So of course, their position get forced sold through various derivatives, not spot sales. So this sparks a chain reaction. More drops, more liquidation, funding rates flip negative, meaning shorts gets paid to bet against, and open interest total bets evaporated as players bail, right? So we've seen it play out like clockwork. Wave after wave of structured reds, no wild bounces, just relentless grind down. It's not chaos. It feels it's engineered. So bottom line, Bitcoin 21 million cap is sacred. It's unchanged. But the effective supply messing with price, it's ballooned into trillions through these synthetics. Like all different products that I've just mentioned to you guys, right? So today, price dances to the tune of hedge fund hedges, whale leverage, and of course, algorithm trades, not just your friend buying, his first Bitcoin in spot, in exchange anymore. And it's not solo out of force pile on to make this dump extra vicious, right? So looking at global asset fire sale, like stock like S&P are bleeding red, gold, parabolic move up and down, and dump, of course. Even safe haven bonds are wobbling when our world is risk off, meaning everyone's hiding the money under the bed to just move money, cash out. Money flees the wild stuff first, like money flees Bitcoin. And somehow we in the end of the line, so Bitcoin amplifies the pain, dropping twice as hard as the Dow Jones, take for instance. And of course, we have got macro fog and war drums, geopolitical jitters are definitely spiking, how the US, Iran, potentially there could be a war. I've covered that constantly on my Bitcoin Daily video. So think US, Iran, potentially affecting the supply chain, endless conflict. And uncertainty eventually breeds a lot of fear. Investor power into cash or treasuries, starving risk asset like Bitcoin. So no boom times here, right? So I reckon, we'll just continue to dip. We will just continue to dip a little bit like all of the other cycle, we'll just continue to dip. And of course, we've got Fed's liquidity tease. Like, how many social media influencers are letting you infinite money printing coming, right? We've heard that since last year, October, September, right? Rate cut, but come on, how many rate cut have we received? Just one, right? I mean, since last year. The hell, guys. And then all they've been talking about will be M2 money supply, endless liquidity, endless printing. So everyone's betting on the Federal Reserve flooding market with easy money, like post 2020, but whispers of tighter reins, right? Even if rates eventually drop, have folks repricing everything lower, less cash crashing dreams. And again, Bitcoin stuff, right? Like how I've actually let you guys know, we don't flip bullish until we see more rate cut, until actual money, a lot of them gets printed, until you actually see your Trump stimulus check, And of course, there are a lot more other things that we need to be aware of before we flip bullish. And now we simply cannot, okay? And of course, economic uncertainties, the warning light flashing, jobs reports cooling, home sales slumping, credit card max out, looking at, the number of billions that are being borrowed, guys. It's crazy, right? When growth stalls, market the risk fast. So Bitcoin, as the volatility king of asset, gets hammered hardest in this kind of scramble. So this isn't retail meltdown, no meme coin frenzy or X panic. It's just calm, calculated, slow unwind, big players trimming positions, liquidations hitting us slowly, gradually. A lot to do with the Japanese carry trade unwind, and of course crush before they start as dip hunters wait for a clear sky. So what does this mean for us, everyday folks, for you and me, people that are watching my video, right? What does it mean for people like, even for myself and you that are watching from the sideline? So it's not a random chaos. It's a mix of hidden market tricks and real world headaches teaming up to grind prices down. So the key takeaway here, this dump isn't killing Bitcoin story. I reckon it's testing it, shaking out the weak spots, shaking out the weak hands, so the strong hands can continue to remain and become bigger. History is full of these moments. Remember 2018 when it crashed, Bitcoin crashed about 80%, right? Remember this time, right? Bitcoin all-time high at around $69,000, getting to about 200 weeks moving average. That's a huge drop off, 84%, guys. Or, the 2022 after the FTX, collapse, the mess that it caused. So those bottom didn't cap the future. They launched legends. You guys are the absolute legends. If you kind of buy and hold from these two last cycle, absolutely. With rebounds, they turn early holders into millionaires. So Bitcoin's core magic, that fixed supply, the growing adoption as digital gold, hasn't changed, guys. It's still the asset that thrives when old system wobble, okay? And everyone in the old system want to pause and want to store all of this clarity bill, because this will affect that old system. And essentially, we are in the new system. Investing in Bitcoin, getting into Bitcoin, continue to hollow Bitcoin means we are, getting our wealth away from the old system and bringing them into the new system. So it's still so on top of my mind now, and I believe many of you guys are asking the same question. So is it still okay to buy Bitcoin right now? Absolutely. If you're in it for the long game, that is, if you're in it for the long game, guys, not chasing quick flips, but building wealth like a slow burning fire. If you're already holding, breathe easy, guys. Don't sell in panic, right? These fear zones are where the smart money loads up quietly, okay? And I can see on-chain a lot of smart money are loading up. I've been reporting to you guys almost every few couple of days, the Binance, the Sappho fund, right? They are rotating from stablecoin into Bitcoin, especially during this dip period. And they're pledging up to $1 billion to do it. And that's a clever move, because why hold depreciating asset like a US dollars stablecoin currency when Bitcoin is down so much? You buy low, right? And even Binance, they're pledging that if that Bitcoin Sappho fund, SAFU fund, it drops below $1 billion, they will continue to top it up with more Bitcoin. That means they're buying the dips. So, guys, if you're new to this, start small with dollar cost averaging. Buy a fixed amount every week, every day. Some folks love doing that, or months, no matter the price. So you average into the dips without guessing the bottom. It's okay, because the future isn't capped. Far from it. With more countries and companies eyeing Bitcoin as reserve, halvings, locking supply tighten, and technology making it easier to use every day, easier to transact. We're talking potentially, the next parabolic movement. Who knows? Maybe 5x, 10x gains. I've actually, looked through that power curve with you guys. So look through that video from yesterday's Bitcoin Daily video. I think some of the expectation from the power curve indicated that Bitcoin can potentially get to about 800,000 in 2020. So by the way, these are model, right? We have to sandbag them. And if Bitcoin do go up, guys, remember to take profit. I think that's it for today, guys. Short video. Just some random thoughts. Just some research, for me to get a better understanding about why Bitcoin drop. The players, the products that gets packaged, the Bitcoin type of products, it's definitely capping more of the upside. And of course, protecting, the downside too. So I guess that's worth the while to raise. And that's it, guys. That's it for today. I hope you guys have a good Sunday. Don't get too beaten up with the Bitcoin price. Drop a like. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I make Bitcoin video almost every single day. And let me know in the comment section where you guys watching from. If you're I don't know what my subscriber counts, which, by the way, an undisclosed source informed me that we'll get through the bear market a lot more faster if I can get to 1,000 subscribers. So the sooner I get that 1K subs, the sooner we get the hell out of the bear market. Anyway, I'll see you soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.